Hello, soulmate. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I stumbled on this style on Instagram. So now I'm going to be teaching us how to cut and draft this halter neck underbust gown with a Basque waistline. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. So now let's get right into the step-by-step process on how to go about drafting. So I've gone ahead to mark out the pattern block and divide our pattern into two, just as you can see. So now to get your pattern block, so you're going to say your hip measurement divided by 2 plus 2 inches or 3 inches or 4 inches. So these 2 to 3 inches you're adding to it is depending on the ease you want on your pattern. So whatever you have, you divide it into 2. So that way you're able to divide your pattern into 2 this way. So that's why I already have the front pattern and the back pattern, just as you can see. That's already have it in place. So it makes it easy for you to draft your front and back pattern on the same pattern paper. Do you understand? Or if you need to extend your pattern paper, you do the same as well. So now I've gone ahead to place the chest line, the bust point, just as you can see, the underbust, the waistline. Also, I've gone ahead to place the hip line. So the length I am working with is about 34 inches. So for the back measurement as well, I've gone ahead to place the chest line. So the difference between the front and back waistline is 1 inch. So you can see there's a difference there, is 1 inch. So I've gone ahead to place the hip measurement. So now to get the length of the back, so measure what you have for the front. That's your waist to your gown length. Whatever you have for the front this way, you place it at the back to measure, so that way it is equal. The lines are equal for the front and the back. That's the lower part, they are equal. So now we're going to be placing the shoulder measurement on the shoulder line and on the chest line. So you are going to go ahead and rule a straight line across, just as you can see. So the neck width I am working with for now is 3 inches. Then the shoulder slope I marked is about 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it this way. So next up, I'm going to get the midpoint of the armhole, then come in by half an inch. Then I'm going to be connecting it this way. Then you also connect it to the chest line to get your arm sack or your armhole, just as you can see. So next up, you're going to be placing half of your bust span on the bust point line up to the gown length. I'm just going to be placing it this way. So I'm going to be rolling a straight line across. So I want to cut the up part and the down part all together. I don't want to cut them separately. So now for the underbust contouring, just for the sake of this pattern, so on the center front I marked half an inch, and at the side front I mark 0.75. I'm going to mark it all the way down. So you can do more for your contouring, do you understand? But it's for the sake of this pattern is why I'm using 0.5 and 0.75. So I'm just going to roll a straight line across on both sides, just as you can see. So just carefully connect all the points together, just as you can see. So next up, I'm going to be connecting it to the bust point this way. So you just take the curvy part of your ruler and connect it to the bust point. So now you're going to be placing your bust measurement divided by 4 on the chest line this way. That's quarter of your bust measurement. So on the waistline, you have to determine how many inches you want to snatch your waist by. So here, I think I was snatching by 2 inches. So just say your waist measurement minus 2, then you divide it by 4. So here I had 30 inches minus 2, that's 28 divided by 4. That's about 7. So now you are going to placing 7 on your waist plus the dart intake, you mark it. So on your hip measurement, you get your hip measurement divided by 4, or quarter of your hip, then plus the dart intake, you mark it. So now also your hip measurement, you place it on the gown length, then you rule a straight line. So now on the gown length, I came inward by half an inch, so that the gown will be slanted by the side a little bit, so it won't be looking like too straight, was why I slanted it. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect the points. So remember that our body is not straight, so I still ended up using the curvy part of my ruler to connect that point, just as you can see. So I'm just going to connect this to the chest line this way, just as you can see. So you're going to be taking your bust dart. That's the difference between your front and back waistline. So you mark it on the bust point this way, just as you can see. So now it's a princess dart here. So now you're going to get the midpoint of your armhole like this, then you connect it to the bust point, just as you can see. So now for the contouring of the princess dart, I'm using 1 inch for the contouring. I came down by 1 inch. I also connected it back to the bust point, just as you can see. So you are going to be extending that 1 inch outward. So extension, so then you mark it. So this extension so that you don't have shortage when you are cutting. So below the chest line, I came down by 1/2 inch. So I'm supposed to connect it to the chest line, but because I want the chest line to come down a little bit, do you understand? I just want it to come down. So now, is either you connect it to the chest line or you connect it to the 1/2 inch that I marked. Either one you want. So, but I connected it to the 1/2 inch instead of the chest line. So I just want it to come down a little bit. Do you understand? Because it's a tube dress, sort of. So it's a tube dress. I just wanted it to come down a little bit. So I've erased that line, just as you can. So now let's go to the underbust. So because there's an opening there. So above the underbust, I marked about 0.75. So you can mark 1 inch or 1/2 inch depending on what you want. Then I went in by 0.5. Do you understand? So I'm just going to be connecting into the first dart leg using the curvy part of my ruler this way. Just try and connect it this way. Connect it this way though. Just trying to get a nice curve this way, just as you can see. So next up, by this side here, so I came in by 1.25. So a bigger person can just mark 1 inch. So you are going to be connecting into the second dart leg by this side, just as you can see. You are just going to be connecting it this way, just like this. Now let's move to the neckline. Remember that from the beginning I marked about 3 inches for the neck width. So you can still alter the neckline. Do you understand? Maybe depend on how wide you want it to be. So I'm just going to be connecting into that 0.5. To that 0.5 that I marked inward, just as you can see, using the curvy part of my ruler. So as I was saying, so your neck width, you can extend it by, like you can alter it to be 4 inches, 5 inches or 4.5, depends on what you want. Do you understand? So you can just alter it. Do you understand? So now for the shoulder, I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for the shoulder. So using 2.5 inches depends on choice. You can make it wider. It just depends on what you want. So I'm just going to be connecting that 2.5 inches that I marked. I'm going to be connecting into the first dart leg of the armhole. So I'm just going to be connecting it this way. Just no, so it's not going to be looking too curvy as well. So I'm just going to be connecting it this way, just as you can see. So I'm going to be adding extra paper to the upper part because of it's an outer neck. So the outer neck, the rope is cut together. So now I'm just going to be extending this line. So as you're extending the line, it depends, you determine the length you want to work with. So now the longer your line is, the smaller it gets in size at the tip. I don't know if you understand what I mean. You can see the way this line is. From the 2.5, it was looking as if it was going smaller. Do you understand? So the length, the tip of the length can be a little bit smaller, maybe by 1 inches for the wideness. Let's move to the down part of our gown. So now for the backs, you're going to determine how many inches you want to use for the back. So in this part, I measured about 4 inches below the waistline. So I'm going to go ahead and close up this dart. So I'm going to close up this dart this way. So you will determine if you want your backs to be straight or curvy. So I'm just going to be using the curvy part of my ruler to connect it to the waistline. From that 4 inches that I marked to the waistline, just as you can see. Just connect it this way. So this is what we have for the backs waistline. So I'm just going to go ahead and label all the patterns correctly. So I'm just going to carefully label it, just as you can see. So now we are going to be moving to the back pattern. We are done with the front, so next up is the back pattern. Back, I already marked the shoulder line. Do you understand? I already marked the shoulder line, the shoulder slope, and gotten our shoulder slope. So that part is not necessary. So I already placed the bust measurement divided by 4. The waist measurement that you're using for the front that you already snatched, you place it on the waistline. So you also place your hip measurement divided by 4 on the hip line and on the gown length. So on that gown length too, remember that you are supposed to go inward by half an inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect the points by this side, just as you can see. So like I said, on the gown length, go inward by half an inch this way. So you just go ahead and connect the points together, just as you can see. Just connect it this way. So remember on our front pattern, we came down by 0.5 inches on the chest line. So you do the same for the back. You come down by 0.5 inches on the chest line by the side. Then at the center back, you mark 0.75. So you just go ahead and connect the points this way. You can see the way it is. You connect it this way. So now we have an opening on our back. So to determine how wide you want that openness to be, so on the waistline I marked about 1.5 inches. On that new chest line, I marked about 2 inches. So that space now is going to be the opening. Is where you are going to be doing lacing. Do you understand? So now I'm just going to be dividing what I have left for the waist. That's if you want to share the remaining part into 2. Do you understand? Then just draw a straight line this way, just as you can see. So remember I said I marked about 1.5 inches there. You can also mark about 1.5 inches at the chest line, just if you want the lines to be straight. You can just mark it this way. The first line will make it look slanted a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and label the patterns, just as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and label it. So up next now, we are going to be cutting. So just carefully look at how I'll be cutting our pattern. Just carefully look at it. So do not rush the process. Do not rush the process. Do not rush the process at all. Just carefully look at how I'll be cutting it. So I'm sorry that some parts were not showing. It wasn't intentional. But just carefully look at it. So guys, if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, comment, like and share. So just carefully cut it out this way. Now to cut this side, because we are going to be closing the bust dart, so I'm just going to be cutting more on this side, like having excess paper. So is either you close it up, use your paper tape to hold it down, either you close it up. So in this case, I'm just going to be cutting it open up to the bust point a little bit, a tiny bit. Then I'm just going to be closing it up this way using my paper tape, just as you can see. Then I'm just going to go ahead and reconnect the lines, because the lines there are no longer equal. Do you understand? Also, the line that we have here is not equal to, so you reconnect it. Remember, you are going to be cutting that out, so you reconnect it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut, just as you can see. So now we're going to move to the back. So you go ahead and cut off the back, just as you can see. So this is the half length of the back. So if you want this, so this is what we're for the back. So the bottom part doesn't have a dart. So I'm just going to be closing it up, which will serve as the bottom part. It doesn't have a dart, so I'm just going to be closing up that dart that I opened. Remember, the reason why I did that, constructed this way is because of the backs. I didn't want to cut them separately. So now for the backs, for the underbust, if you want it like as one piece, cutting it one piece, just join it together this way. Do you understand? Join it together this way. like join it together this way. That's like you're making it dartless. So now you can now determine the amount of boning channels you want to add on it, like on the front layer, or even when if it's inside. So you just determine it. It depends on choice. So that's what it's going to look like. So this is what the front piece, this is what it looks like. This is what the front piece looks like. Just as you can see, this is what it looks like. I'm going to be placing the back piece side by side. So this is the lower part of the back piece and the upper part of the back piece. So if you want the upper part of the back piece to be in one piece, you might necessarily not cut it. You can just leave it the way it is, then you do your boning channel inside or outside, so whatever works for you. So now I've come to the end.